because I know what kind of job you're going to have coming in. So Karen, she represents everything a Rotarian should be. I think everyone in this room knows that. Congratulations, Karen, you're going to do a great job. Our Rotarian of the day is Case Anderson. Case is a proud Oklahoma native and an alumnus of Oklahoma State University, very well represented today. He graduated summa cum laude with a 4.0 GPA, and during his time at OSU, Case held leadership roles as president of both Sigma Phi Epsilon and the Intrafraternity Council, earning recognition for his academic excellence and contributions to campus life. He currently he works for Thrive PEO, where he plays a crucial part in the company's growth, overseeing sales, process, and maintaining strong partnerships with key channel partners. His approach focuses on building long-term relationships and providing partners with the tools and support needed for success. Recently, Case embarked on a journey as a real estate investor, bringing the same level of dedication and strategic thinking to his new endeavor. He enjoys working out, playing golf, and cheering for the OSU Cowboys. Please welcome Rotarian of the Day, Case Anderson.
So Mr. Harding was at best indifferent about his bio, so I'm going to paraphrase for him so we can just get to the meat and potatoes of today's presentation. But Nathaniel Harding, managing partner of Cortado Ventures, is our speaker today. He's a born and bred Oklahoman, and he's an innovator, market maker, and who has founded, scaled, and sold companies. He's a successful investor in energy, biotech, and ag tech. Cortado Ventures is an early-stage venture capital firm invested in growth-driven technology companies. Nathaniel is also a decorated Air Force captain and veteran of Afghanistan and was the technical lead for a joint energy development project in China. He also has been a Miss Oklahoma judge, track national champion, Russian orphanage translator, political party national vice chairman, and local TV talk show host. Please welcome Nathaniel Harding.
Thank you, Case, and President Daniel. It's my pleasure to get to join you all today. I also see some other Leadership Oklahoma classmates. So for our front table here, and Daniel and I got to know each other through Leadership Oklahoma. Great program, highly recommend it. But that's not why I'm here today. I'm here to talk about Cortado Ventures. So I'm from Oklahoma City, born and raised in Oklahoma, as mentioned. And it's my great pleasure to be a part of Cortado Ventures and to tell you a little bit about the why behind it and why it matters in Oklahoma. At the very highest level, Cortado Ventures is a venture capital firm. So think of Shark Tank, think of San Francisco area investors in high-tech companies. But really it started from us asking ourselves, what would it look like to have a venture capital firm in and focused in Oklahoma and the surrounding area? What would that look like to have a firm investing in the kinds of companies that I ran in my experience as an entrepreneur before? So we built Cortado to be the kind of firm that we wish had existed when my partners and I, were founders, CEOs, and operators. But how it started, I'm third generation oil and gas. My grandfather, great uncle, father, uncle, two brothers, and sister-in-law, and now my nephew, whose name is Case, by the way, all in oil and gas. So we have a proud history in the industry that I think plays one of the largest roles in our state's history. And again, very proud of that, and that's where I learned a lot of my entrepreneurship. So this is actually a magazine cover that was, so my dad is the taller one, very handsome guy. That picture was taken within a month of when I was born. And so I love the fact that it says, a company for the future. That company doesn't exist anymore, but it definitely was cutting edge, and I think embodied the spirit of being a wildcatter, being an entrepreneur, an explorer, and so decades of great success. And it was my honor to get to work with my dad, and then we sold the family business, and then I had my own companies that I started from that. But those are our roots. But then we started to think about, well, what does the next 150 years look like in Oklahoma? It's going to be different industries, different technologies, different sectors. But the foundation here taught me a lot about how to operate a business, how to have successful outcomes with selling the business, also how to overcome adversity. But that's our history. That's how it started, and this is how it's going. So this picture was taken about a month after COVID was declared a pandemic. You may notice that, so that's the cover of the Journal Record, my two partners, David Woods and Mike Marotti. So that's a Zoom, a screenshot from Zoom, because we couldn't get together physically for the photograph. And so we thought, like, actually, wouldn't it be kind of like cool and funny and a little snapshot in history to actually have our picture be a Zoom screenshot? So the quote there, the perfect time, we started Cortado Ventures literally just weeks into the pandemic. Now that sounded crazy. I thought it was going to be my COVID project. I literally had like a whiteboard that was like, here's how I'm going to work on this for a few months. Well, here we are 4.5 years later, and it's taken over my life, and it's been hugely successful and very thankful. And part of that, Cortado Ventures is officially a top 10% performing VC firm in the country. So compare us to firms that have been around for decades, compare us to firms that are on their 15th fund, doesn't matter. Compare us to the US, international, we are top 10%. But it all started here, and we thought it was the perfect time because of the disruption happening because of COVID. But also, frankly, we were sensing, as those of, we grew up here, we built our companies here, we were sensing this tide of technology innovating in legacy sectors. So think of oil and gas, think of aerospace, areas that had not seen a lot of technological development. You now see the convergence of digital meets physical, and we felt uniquely situated because of where we are in the country and our experience to form a venture capital firm focused on that. What I do, what is a venture capitalist? Some of you have seen this meme, but essentially it says, what different people think I do. What does my mom think I do? What do my friends think I do? What society thinks I do. Sometimes it's really cool to be a VC. I've had a lot of travel recently. I've been to 10 countries and 5 continents in the last 15 months. But sometimes it's really not a lot of fun because it's just hard work and trying to find companies and nurture them. So really the last panel, the lower right, I think embodies it best, where we nurture companies. We find companies at the earliest stage when they're, in many cases, pre-revenue, kind of idea stage. We invest in them, we take that bet on the founder, and we work with them through the difficult periods of growth. Because in that stage of a company's life, it's really about navigating until you hit with a product market fit. That's what we would call it. And so there's lots of getting through those growing pains and trying to figure out, is this product what's needed for the market? And if not, what else can we do? And if nothing, then you have to fold it. And so it's a very difficult process of nurturing. That's essentially how we see ourselves. And sometimes you have great outcomes. I think the lower middle panel is showing an IPO. We recently actually had a company have an IPO. So sometimes you have those amazing highs, but most of it is the harder work that people don't see. And then a real quick 101 on how a VC fund works. So you have the general partners, so those 3 people, me, Mike, and David that you saw on that Zoom screenshot, we are the general partners. It's up to us to hire people and to manage the firm. We then have LPs, or limited partners. In our case, it's about 100 individuals and family offices and institutions that have committed capital to us, invested in us, and once they do that, then they trust us to go out there and do what we said we were going to do. So limited partner, the limited is a key function there. They commit to the vision of what we're going to do. We have a 5 to 10 year plan to do it, and then we go out there and execute and invest in companies. So I think the lower panels there in green are showing that the fund, the GPs manage the fund, and then the fund invests in these underlying companies. Over time, as those companies have exits, they IPO or get acquired, then that creates liquidity back to the LPs, and then the GPs get paid as a bonus based on performance. So it's actually similar to like a private equity firm fund or like a real estate fund, but in this case, the assets are technology companies. And then where we fit in a company's growth. So very early on, there's not a lot of capital options, right? If you happen to be wealthy or have a wealthy uncle or family or friends, then you can maybe fund in those early days. Later on, you can fund with bank debt or public markets or private equity or any number of options. But there's kind of this valley of death in the early stage. So we invest in pre-seed, seed, and Series A. I'll describe that briefly. Think of seed as when you first start to get that, you get that first commercial customer. The pre-seed, before that, is when you're in a pilot phase. And the Series A, and then all the alphabet series after that. Series A is when you definitely have a market, you're selling, and now you're ready to grow. But we invest primarily in that seed stage where it's unproven, and you're really underwriting the team and then what you assess, what you think of the market. Where does Oklahoma compare? We perceived this as founders and operators ourselves, and this was actually some data put together by Crunchbase in 2021, and it reflects what we noticed ourselves in that time. So this is really just looking at non-coastal states. This is how much venture capital is in circulation in each state, and it's excluding the coastal states. I think we can agree, Massachusetts, New York, California, of course they have gobs of VC, so we'll exclude them. So of non-coastal states, Oklahoma barely makes it. I actually had to add that manually. Makes it the very, very bottom of the list. And it's not because we deserve it the least. Actually, I think you'll see in subsequent slides, there is a very compelling market case for why there should be a lot of venture capital in Oklahoma. So we saw that, we experienced that, and as business people, we saw that if there is a mismatch in the market, and if we can do something about it, that's the underpinning of a great business. Now, we define our market as we call the mid-continent, which is actually Oklahoma and the bordering states. With the exception of Texas, because they're huge, you can see the surrounding states in Oklahoma are similarly situated in terms of not much venture capital. Texas has Austin. Austin has a lot of VC as kind of its own market. We don't do Austin. We do Houston, think of energy. Dallas, think of finance, and as well as life sciences like biotech. So the next handful of slides show some of the companies that we've invested in, because I think showing is better than telling. This company, led by Lisa Mullen, is called Drove Technologies. They're in Oklahoma City. They have a connected device that sits in the trailer for trucks that enables fleet management, efficiency, risk mitigation. So there are lots of benefits to this. We invested before they had revenue. And actually, to give a quick example of how we sometimes have to navigate through difficult times, they had a very large pilot customer lined up that fell through because of a change in that larger company's CEO. So then that basically put them off track for a year on kind of landing the next pilot. They got it. Now this year they're on target for $2 million in revenue. So a great example of like the tenacity and grit to get through that early stage. Ox, this is a company out of Northwest Arkansas. Charu Thomas was a Forbes 30 under 30, an amazingly bright person who has developed this technology that essentially turns a retail center into a fulfillment center. So you think of ordering online and then going to pick up. Well, somebody's in that store finding all your items. Well, she has the technology, essentially a wearable. So think of like a connected glasses where you can see a heads-up display, and then software on a device that enables the picker to do so much more efficiently. So this is a massive scale. Even a 10% improvement is billions of dollars in improvement across the industry. The next company, Oklahoma City company, they have developed an intranasal vaccine platform. So instead of having to get a shot, you can deliver it intranasally. Their first indication, their first application was with COVID vaccine, which actually ends up being more comfortable but also more effective, since many times just once you inhale the COVID virus, then you have it, even if you are able to later get a shot. So they're the first trial to have a successful human trial with an intranasal vaccine. AI Driller. This is a company that, uncreatively named, uses AI to drill oil and gas wells. They do so very efficiently. We invested when early revenue, when they barely had any revenue. They now have several $1 million in revenue and have interest in being acquired by one of the largest oil and gas companies in the world. And it's very exciting how much they've taken off. But it's a great indication of how we at Cortado look at the world. VCs in the Bay Area would not take a second look at an oil and gas technology. We love it, we know it, we understand it. The tech that they've built is what I used to use as an operator of a drilling rig. So very familiar, we're able to analyze it and understand it better than our peers on the coasts. PatchRx is here in Tulsa. They have a connected device that helps ensure compliance with medications. The lack of compliance with medication is one of the leading causes of preventable hospital visits. So they are now selling their device and their platform to healthcare providers and large networks, which is also reimbursable from insurance and improves outcomes for patients and lowers healthcare costs. This company, PipeDream, this one is very Jetsons futuristic-like. They've literally, their vision is for pipelines for products. And so that sounds like it's way out there, way in the future. They're actually already in revenue now. They actually have commercial projects currently, and some huge news coming out soon that we can't yet announced, but really excited about what they're doing. This founder's from Oklahoma. And This Week in Startups, so that's a podcast that's very well known in VC and startups. They named this company one of the top companies in the world. This out of like tens of thousands of companies. So really impressed with them. A lot of interest from Amazon to basically take trucks off the road and increase the rate and lower the cost of delivering goods. Ardley, a company that has Tulsa roots and people in Tulsa. This is a company that has automated much of the mortgage process. So they've actually experienced growth even in the interest rate hike and elevated interest rate period. Really excited about their growth. We invested pre-revenue, and some of their customers are banks and mortgage providers, have had a record months and quarters using their technology, which slashed costs, but was able to unlock a lot of mortgages that otherwise would be too small to service. Which we love that angle as well, because it also creates more homeownership opportunities for those who may not have very many options. This company has a pilot in Tinker. This is a robotic software that enables robots to more accurately repair and maintain aircraft. So you think of all the rivets that are drilled into aircraft to piece them together or to replace parts. That's actually been done by hand for the most part since airplanes were invented. Well, this company is really using AI to create very high accuracy robots to be able to do this in an automated, safer, quicker, cheaper way. This company also has Tulsa roots. Exum, it's a mass spectrometer, so it's able to sample any kind of material and tell you what's in it. This has application in manufacturing. Their device, they didn't invent mass spectrometry, but they made it 90% cheaper and easy to use. It's basically as easy to use as a microwave. I was able to use it, and as opposed to having a PhD. So this has application in manufacturing because if you're a manufacturer and you have quality control that you need to be able to conduct, you can now do so in-house and get real-time information. And I think this is the last one. This is a fun one. This company, if they had existed when I was deployed in Afghanistan, my deployment would have been about 2 weeks instead of 6 months. Founded by an Oklahoman. It uses LiDAR on satellites, and LiDAR is what helps self-driving cars see. So this uses LiDAR on satellites to create high-fidelity 3D imagery anywhere on Earth. Has application in climate modeling, infrastructure monitoring, and defense. So fun fact, this company was invested in by Raytheon, very much defense-oriented, and also by Leonardo DiCaprio, who's very much like climate-focused. But the fact is, this company has a technology that has application in so many areas, has big-name celebrity investors, but we were among the first venture capital firms to invest. So that paints a little bit of a picture of the kinds of companies we invest in. We have 39 active companies. And not to advertise, but just to tell you, how are we doing? Because what I'm saying may sound kind of mission-oriented. We're very proud of the fact that we invest mostly in Oklahoma companies, very proud of the fact that our portfolio companies are led by mostly people of color and women, very proud of the fact that we're investing in non-traditional founders that have different education pathways. We're proud of all those things, but it's not going to last if we don't perform better than others that are doing the same thing in other markets. And to state it very simply, if you were to look at our portfolio as a company, because that's what it is essentially, how much has it grown or has it shrunk since we started? So looking at it that way, over the past couple of years, it's tripled in value. So imagine operating a company that triples in a couple of years. That's a pretty good success rate. That's including companies that have failed, it's including companies that have gone down in value, just all in, the net asset value of our companies has grown tremendously since we started. Why our niche is working. So we do this because we care and we think it should exist, but also because we think it's a good idea. It's less competitive here. It's shark-infested waters in the Bay Area, but blue ocean, where we're investing in the mid-continent. That means lower valuations, that means less dilution for founders. They're able to build companies more cost-effectively, raise less money. Both investors and founders win. It's also the pandemic, frankly, accelerated the distribution of talent across the country. So certainly that's been a tailwind for us, and we think, and it's not going away. Now that people realize you can build companies, high-tech companies outside of the Bay Area, it's here to stay. And now that we see technology infiltrating in these legacy industries, it's not going to stop, and we want to be an early part of that. So there's actually a reason to invest in this area that's actually competitive investment alpha creation engine, and that we can do uniquely well because we're from here, we have the network and know-how. And why was the time now? So in times of disruption, if you look back historically, in times of either economic downturn or societal disruption, that's actually when startups win. So startups succeed when the incumbents, when established companies are struggling, either because of high interest rates or economic downturn. So that happened at the beginning of COVID. You could argue that there's some version of that now. It was supply chain disruptions. And so that's when you see more and more people leaving their company to start new companies. And so if you look back, some of those big brand names that are very recognizable, they were started in the Great Recession. And so it's actually a tremendous time to invest in these disruptive startups during times like this. And I'll also point out real quick on that, we as lifelong Okies have noticed there's been a lot of interest in trying to see other sectors thrive and trying to support innovative entrepreneurship. So we also have a lot of great friends throughout the state of Oklahoma, support from many stakeholders that's helped us do that. And this is one of the reasons why, the economic impact of VC. It's great from an investment standpoint when we succeed. What does it do for the state? What has VC done in other areas where it's been around longer? The vast majority of net new job growth comes from VC-backed companies. The large majority of IPOs, especially successful ones over the long term, were from VC-backed companies. So a lot of the broader economic engine of America is driven by the success of VCs. And at a very local level, it's very profound. So imagine a company that starts in Oklahoma, IPOs, it creates a bunch of new millionaires. Well, that's great for everybody. Now you have more people in Tulsa and Oklahoma that are newly wealthy, and they can now be more active with their investing in philanthropy, investing in new companies. So it has this effect of, this multiplier effect. And we want to see that happen here instead of somewhere else or sending our money outside of the state. And it's been a lot of fun to get a lot of recognition. So this is just some clippings from about a 12-month time frame showing, you see some of the names there, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Fortune, that we as a firm and our companies appear all over. And I love the fact that Oklahoma and venture capital get mentioned in the same sentence. But fun fact, the very first article about us in a major publication was in TechCrunch, which in our world is like the biggest name. It was the first time that Oklahoma and venture capital were mentioned in the same article in TechCrunch, but they misspelled Oklahoma 5 times, 3 different ways. 3 different ways. And so on one hand, it was like, yes, we've made it, we're on the map, but we have more work to do, clearly. Well, since then, nobody has misspelled Oklahoma in those publications, and now we get a lot of attention. We speak on some of the largest stages, especially if you include our portfolio companies. We had a company recently founded and located in Oklahoma that was in the Wall Street Journal, and not like the tech section, like the main paper, And so, and this is a company that was founded by 3 OU grads, and sorry, no OSU involved in that one. But we love seeing the attention. It's great for business, and it makes my Okie heart warm. And then if I could put numbers behind it, this is a little bit outdated, but this is data from PitchBook, which is a great source, the most relevant source for this kind of information. This is showing the amount of venture capital in circulation in Oklahoma, and it goes back, I can't quite see it, but it goes back plenty of time to where you could barely even see it on the graph. And then you see our founding, when the amount of venture capital all of a sudden tripled, and it grew from there. And it's only growing. And so in this time, since we started, the amount of VC in Oklahoma has at least tripled, depending on how you measure it. It has way more to go, because again, if you compare us to other states per capita or per GDP, we still have more to go. But we're very proud of the real measurable impact that we, like the community, have had in the state. So I have a quick video here, because I think this 2-minute video shows really well the kind of community that we build. We talked about the kinds of companies, we talked about the structure of it, the why it matters. Now these people in these interviews in this 2-minute video, I think, tell it really well. We host a summit every year, and it rotates in different cities throughout our region. The most recent one, we had 400 people from 30 states, representing $2 trillion, with a T, $2 trillion. It's the biggest of its kind VC conference in the region, really outside of like major markets. We've had it in Oklahoma City, we've had it in Bentonville, and we'll announce soon where the next one is, so we'll see the video.
My experience at the summit was incredible. Something that I noticed about this group and the people that Cortado Ventures was able to bring together is that there wasn't just a seat at the table for me, but they pulled the chair out for me. People were willing to bring others into their conversations, and it was a network and a community that you don't find just anywhere, and it makes me incredibly proud to be a part of this network.
My experience at the first ever Mid-Continent Venture Capital Summit was absolutely amazing. As a representative here with the Oklahoma Center for the Advancement of Science and Technology, today was one of those days that truly was the epitome of creating the environment so that our innovators here in Oklahoma have such an integrated support system and have all of the pieces that they need to create successful science and technology startups and keep them here in the state of Oklahoma.
I thought that the sessions went into a really great amount of depth. That's something that a lot of conferences have difficulty with. You're just kind of moving from one thing to the next and just hearing little sound bites. But I think that the way that this one was set up was intimate enough, and the panelists were all close enough to one another that we got some real reactions on things, which does not always happen in the conference circuit.
Speakers were spectacular. They were just really top-notch. Keynote was one of the best I've seen at a conference in a long time, so I had a wonderful time.
Today we are here with the famous two-time best-selling author David Epstein.
I always get so pumped. Who's ready to go to a summit? So the next one is going to be in late April here in Tulsa. So go to our website, cortado.ventures, or just Google Cortado Ventures, and you'll see a way to find the summit. But yeah, just mark your calendar. The last full week of April, the summit will be here. It's a multi-day event. We expect the same kind of impact. We've only gotten even better at doing this. We've literally had to turn people away. But looking for sponsors, looking for speakers. But yeah, we fully expect to have another 400 people from 30 states, people that have never been to Oklahoma, have them here talking about innovation, venture capital, investment, and job growth. So to close out, the vision for what we're doing, and when I talk about we, it's Cortado, but it's also the ecosystem, the community of venture investors. Over the last 5 or 6 years, it's grown tenfold, but we see that another tenfold of growth, even just to get where like Columbus, Ohio is, let alone, San Francisco is a whole nother beast, right? But we have so much more opportunity, so much more growth, that we see another tenfold over the next 5 to 6 years. And we want to see Oklahoma as the new destination for innovation and investment. And for a reason, because we have unique advantages and a unique story to tell, sectors where we can be uniquely effective and competitive. And of course, because we're a business, Cortado Ventures as a leader in this and a market-defining leader in this mid-continent market. And some recent news, so last fall we announced the largest of its kind fund in state history and one of the largest in the region. We were invited to speak on the largest stage in the venture capital circuit in San Francisco to announce this. So we're very proud of that. A couple of companies recently, NewView and Pipedream, two that I showed you earlier, were named as Best Inventions of the Year by Time Magazine. I think we're the only VC fund that has two companies that are Best Inventions by Time. And also very recently, one of the largest family offices in America invested in Cortado. I have to get permission before I say who it is, but you can probably just guess it. Just think of who that would be. And one of the largest family offices, largest family names in America. Huge validation, no Oklahoma connection. It was purely just an alpha generation, investment decision for them. So very proud of that. Then call to action. If you think this is awesome, which you should, then there's several ways you can get involved. Of course, you can invest in the fund. But importantly, you can source opportunities. You can, if you see companies that you think are great, if you meet founders, innovators that you think are really smart, send them our way. And there's the email at the bottom. You can send us talent. If you have a young person in your life, in your family, in your community that wants to work in tech, there's lots of ways to do it without even going to college. So you can become a programmer and make really good money, send them our way. There's nonprofit ways to support what we're doing, such as that summit that I showed you the video. Tell your story. I mean, if you've built a great company in the community, we want to help tell that story for Oklahoma. We have a podcast where we can do that. We have a newsletter. Go to our website. There's a newsletter. We have 7,000 subscribers from almost every state in the country. And then our events are a great way to plug in what we're doing. So all that's my email. There's no .com. Don't you dare put .com. It's just cortado.ventures, and it'll come straight to me, and I'd be happy to visit with you. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathaniel. That was really fascinating. I can tell you, getting to know this guy over our Leadership Oklahoma year, if we had dug into his bio and life experiences, Case would still be talking. He is one of the most fascinating people I've ever met. Thank you for making the drive up here and spending time with us today. Now we have a special presentation from Mary Beth Sawyer about Rotary Youth Exchange.
It's not really my presentation. It's going to be Stephanie Suarez's presentation. She was our outbound student last year. She studied abroad in an area near Milan, Italy, so she'll be speaking to us. We're also going to hear just a quick hi from Magdalena Forthner, who is our current inbound student. But before we hear from both of them, I'd really like to take a moment to thank Viviana Suarez, Steph's mother. She hosted for 3 months one of our inbound student last year. So she opened her home. She got her to school every day. She really cared for her, and I'd just like to take a moment to thank her. So we could put our hands together for her. Okay. All right. Magdalena's up.
Hello. My name is Magdalena Furtner. I'm from Steinhaus in Upper Austria, a little city between Salzburg and Linz. I'm so excited to be here in Tulsa as an exchange student. It's a great opportunity for me to experience a new culture, meet new people, and improve my English. Let me tell you a little bit about myself and my family. I have 2 siblings, Clemens and Sebastian. They are both younger than me. Clemens likes to play tennis, and Sebastian is a mountain biker. My mom works as a lawyer, and my dad is a pediatrician at this competitive hospital. One of my biggest hobbies is skiing. Back home, we often go skiing in the winter near our mountain house in the Alps, and it is something I absolutely love. I also enjoy play tennis, which I practice here in Tulsa at Bishop Kelly. I'm excited to make new friends and learn about Tulsa. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for welcoming me to your community and to be a part of your Rotary Club of Tulsa.
Hello, my name is Steph Suarez, and I was the Tulsa outbound last year to Milan, Italy. Firstly, I'd like to give this banner from my host district in Italy to Mr. President Daniel.
Thank you.
All right, so here's my intro slide. My district was District 41, 2041 in the Milan area of Italy, a very big city, and the district itself was very big. My host club was about 30 minutes outside of the city. The host club and the cities I was in were Arese and Garbagnate Milanese. I stayed in, depending on the host families, I stayed in both cities, and my school was in Arese. It had very beautiful views, and they were very walkable cities, so I spent a lot of time outdoors. The Duomo of Milano is one of the biggest landmarks in Milan. It's what it's known for, and I was able to see it up close and personal about twice a week. I got to go up once, but I would walk past it almost on a daily basis. It was beautiful. I had a lot of host families in Italy, and these are just some of the favorite pictures I have. I had a host nephew, host sister, and host dad that were very, very kind. We spent a lot of time as a family most times, and the picture on the right is my counselor, my Rotary counselor, and his mom and son. They invited me to their home on Christmas Eve, and the picture on the left is the family I was with for about a month due to other reasons. I had to have a temporary family, and they were very kind to open up their home to me. And they also hosted one of my other friends from Taiwan, so we had a picnic, and it was very nice. I had a lot of host brothers. I have one brother here at home, but having host brothers that were a little bit closer to my age or younger than my brother here, it was very nice to be able to kind of live that out. On the left was my host brother Antonio, who was the closest to my age. He was 17. And then Daniele on the right, he was the youngest one I had. He was 12. And yeah, we very much felt like siblings. It was very great to spend time with them. I had a lot of host pets. They were very, very kind animals, and I really enjoyed spending time with them. We have Dali on the left, or on the middle, Baku on the left, and Tigresa on the right, the cat, who was very sweet. My host families were very kind and took me out to a lot of different places, including my first professional soccer game for the Inter Milan team, and they also had a house on the beach that they took me to in the winter. It was very nice. So I had a lot of friends that had host families that would take us to trips as well. Top left is me and Jasmine. Jasmine was also in Italy, but she is from Springdale, Arkansas. So I met her before I left, and we were about an hour away from each other, and she was able to come down to our beach house for a week during New Year's. And then on the bottom left is the mountains. Her host family took us out for a weekend, and we went hiking down in the mountains. Top right is Andrew. He's my friend from Taiwan who also has a host family with a house on the mountains, and we went out there as well. And on the bottom right is Avery, who was also a student from Oregon, and her host siblings took us out to Cinque Terre, which is on the coast. And if you've ever seen the Disney movie Luca, these are the towns that inspired that movie, so it was very cool to see it in real life. While I was there, I was able to attend a Rotaract dinner that the Rotaract Club of Milan hosted for us on the left. It was on Thanksgiving, just to give us a little taste of home. And on the right, I was invited to one of their dinners just to see what their meetings were like, and it was very nice. The Rotaract member, he was the president of the club, Alberto. He was an exchange student himself, and he spent a year in Houston. Our host club had us do Italian lessons twice a week to kind of help with our language learning. And so on the left is a picture of all of us with our teacher in the Navy in the middle with with glasses. And on the right is a picture of me with this girl, Francesca, who is from Milan, and she was an exchange student the year before I was an exchange student. And she was in Houston, but she came down to Tulsa for the SCRI conference, the annual SCRI conference. And I met her then, and we kept in touch, and I was able to see her again in Italy. Our Rotary district took us on 2 day trips. The one on the left is a picture of our trip to Florence, and the one on the right is a picture of our trip to Venice. 2 of our Rotary counselors were in charge of taking us there and bringing us home, and they were very kind enough to provide those trips for us. It was very, very fun. Italian school. School was very different from school here at home, but I had lovely classmates that were very welcoming and very open to help me with the language and just showing me the culture. On the left is a picture of me and 4 of my classmates when we accidentally showed up to school matching. In the middle is another one of my classmates, Aurora, who everyone said we kind of looked a little bit alike, so we took that picture. On the top right is one of the school's cleaning ladies who loved talking to me, loved getting to know more about the United States, and helped a lot with my language learning. And on the bottom was whenever my classmates brought a little dessert for me on my birthday and with a little candle. So at the end of the school year, our Italian lessons also ended, and on the right is a picture of me with my Italian teacher receiving my certificate and the district president. And on the left are pictures of Gardaland. It's a theme park about an hour away from Milan, and our Italian lessons teacher was kind enough to chaperone our trip there to celebrate the end of the year and the end of the school year. I met a lot of exchange students just in my district alone, and having been in Milan, public transportation was a lifesaver, and we were able to see each other very often just using the metro, buses, and whatnot. And we would spend a lot of time together. Ben on the left is from Minnesota, and Avery, I mentioned earlier, from Oregon. We went to a cookout together that was with my host family, and we brought our American and Italian flags and took pictures because we thought it was beautiful. And then we celebrated birthdays together and just spent time together whenever we could. Some more fun moments. We spent way too much money at an American store buying candy and whatnot. Dr. Pepper was hard to find, but when I found it, I would stock up. Holding pigeons down in front of the Duomo, and I made mac and cheese with cut up hot dogs for my host family, and my host mom was the only one that liked it. And then at the end of my year, during the summer, I was able to go on the Euro tour, where I met even more exchange students from the Italy area and got to see some of the really pretty views of Europe. On the left is Amsterdam on a swing that swung over the edge of a very tall building. It was very scary, but it was beautiful. Then Venice, my friend Guadi from Argentina at the top right. And then in the hotel in Paris, we had a foosball tournament game with some exchange students that were from a different program from Utah. And then 2 of our other friends, Sammy from California and Viridiana from Mexico. And then on the top right, another friend from Taiwan, Jeremy. And on the bottom right, Fatima, who is from Mexico, who happened to be from the same city my dad is from. So it was very cool to connect with her. More group pictures, Amsterdam, dinners, and our last picture was on the bottom right with all of our flags down in Venice where the trip ended. And then to end off my year, the last 10 days I was in Italy, my mom came to visit me, and it was her first time in Italy, so it was very nice to be able to see some of the big cities and big landmarks with her, and I was able to translate everything for her, and she had a great time. So Rome and Pisa, some more pictures, a very, very fun time. And then she also got to meet some of my friends. Top left, she met Andrew and Ben. On the top right, she met my Rotary counselor and his son. And then bottom left, she met my host family. And bottom right, my last host family. So it was very fun. The bottom right has a picture of me with my host sister from that house, which I had not met until summer because she was doing her exchange in Japan at the time. And in the picture on the bottom left is my host sister, who is now doing her exchange in Brazil as we speak. And so it was very fun to be able to have those connections. And lastly, I would like to thank President Daniel and the entire club for sponsoring my exchange. It was a year I'll never forget, and I'm very, very thankful to have been able to have this experience.
Thank you, Steph, and thank you, Mom, for all the support. And of course, thank the committee, Mary Beth and her people who are helping to run these exchanges. These exchanges are a big part of Rotary International's mission on peace building, so we're very thankful to play a role in that. A book recognizing today's program will be presented to our partner in education school, Celia Clinton Elementary. Today's book is What Do You Do with an Idea? It's a book I actually read to my son just the other day. Upcoming programs, October 2nd, Foundation, who will be talking to us about that organization's 25th anniversary. Now a side mic from DJ Morrow Ingram.
I know the clock is ticking, so I'll make this fast. You all know that the Golden Circle Gala is coming up on October 11th, so get your tickets. If you like good food, who likes good food? Everybody? Yeah. We have an amazing meal selected for you. We'll also have music, dancing, and terrific silent and live auction items. I just found out about one right before this meeting that's being put together. That's a TU basketball package that will, for 10 people, include sideline access, a meet and greet with the head coach. It's right now scheduled for a TU OSU game in December, but that can be changed if the winner doesn't want to go to that game. But we'll be selling tickets using the square outside right after this. If you don't have time to wait, grab one of these off the table. It gives you a link to either be a sponsor or buy a ticket, or we take cash, checks. Just let us know you want to come, and we'll make sure that we bill you somehow. So plan to join us October 11th, Cedar Ridge Country Club. Great food, great fun.
Thank you, DJ. Sarge Barker, come on down.
Oh my goodness, I have such short time, so I want to be very quick. Let's start it up. And I'm sorry, could I get the... Thank you very much. All right. You know what? There's no secret to the wig. I just haven't figured it out yet. So, all right. I am your host, Sarge Barker, and let's get started. Duff Weddle. Duff, are you here today? Are you here? Can you stand up for us, please? I just want to give special recognition to Duff. As you can see here, he had a really good August with his golf game. I just want to get this out. First of all, while golfing with friends in Crested Butte, Colorado, he made a hole-in-one, which was his 4th career ace. That's pretty cool. But then also, too, later in the month, he scored a 76 at his home course at Southern Hills, a score which is less than his age, also a milestone and objective for golfers of all ages. So, great job, Duff. Also, I want to say congratulations to President, oh man, I didn't even put her name down. Oh God, Jenny Hammock. Jenny, thank you so much. I apologize about that. I'm going to be finding myself. Jenny, are you here today?
She's in Paris, actually.
Oh, she's in Paris right now. Well, congratulations, Jenny, and with an anonymous fine. And then also 13 years as a Rotarian, Barbara Kogerman. Barbara, are you here today? Can you stand up and be recognized? Thank you so much for your service. Oh, and who is this handsome devil? Well, it looks like I am finding myself only because I am having a proud dad moment. Tulsa Pets Magazine reached out to me because I'm in charge of the Tulsa Dog Run through Parkside, and they said, you know, we'd love to feature your event on the cover. Can you send us some photos? Well, they looked at all the photos, and they said, we found the perfect one. And they described it, and I said, that's my daughter, and that's my dog. So they put them on the cover of Tulsa Pets Magazine, and Freddie and Millie right there. Proud dad moment. Now, we do have an old-fashioned football rivalry and an update. Real quick, do we have Tiffany here? Tiffany and Eric. All right. Do you want to give us a quick update? Very quickly. I see some people wearing some certain clothes here.
Well, I have a lot of orange, so this will not be the last orange you see on me. But you know what? Last week, as I said, we did a little wager, OU fan, Tennessee fan. How many people watched the game? It was not the prettiest of games, really, on either side, to be truthful. But Tennessee did win, if you didn't know. And so Eric is such a good sport and a good friend, and so he has agreed to
pay $100, because when you bet, sometimes you lose. Thank God that sweatshirt doesn't fit me, by the way.
I know, he got away with the hat. But just because we are doing this for human trafficking awareness, and we're such good friends and we're such good sports. I too brought my $100, so we're both going to do a $100 fine for the foundation. Thank you.
Let's give it up for them. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, and also, since the last time we played our Prices Rotary game, we have raised over $3,000. Please give a hand to all of these wonderful people who have helped make that happen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to spare you because I know our time is up. But next week, we're going to try to play the game Hot Seat, and you will not want to miss it. So thank you so much for your help and participation.
Thank you, Sarge, and thanks to gold sponsors, Weeby Trees, Tim Knoll, Max Electric Supply, Jack McGlumphy, Coldwell Banker Select, Sheree Gardner, OK Ethics, Mary Lytle, silver sponsors, J.D. Young, Doug Stewart, Trust Company of Oklahoma, Michael Hairston, Allen Edwards Incorporated, Chip Edwards, and bronze sponsors, Hanson and Holmes, Richard Holmes, Hearts for Hearing, Kaylee Clark, Interim Healthcare, Terry Heritage, John Crescent, Allstate Agency, John Crescent. I think we saw the magic of Rotary in two different ways today. Learning about our exchange students and what they're learning throughout the world is, of course, very important to us. But also, I don't know, speaking for myself, venture capital is one of those terms that I knew very little about. And now I feel like I've learned a lot from being in this room. So thank you again to Nathaniel. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Magdalena. And thank you, everybody, for being here today. We're adjourned.